But now we're going to actually bring Marco in and harass him a little bit. He's actually usually the one who's got the good stories around the campsite with, you know, pets and such things. So we're going to get him down here and see what he has to say about it.
Thanks very much, Angie. Thanks, Rex.
Thanks, bud. See you tomorrow.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Angie. You really didn't have to bring up the campfire stories and the pets. I'm trying to live the story down. A few nights ago, we were sitting around when Graham and Emily were here, and trying to just having a chat about everything, and ended up talking a little bit about my childhood and some experiences I had in a very famous place called the Bunny Park. And well, needless to say, I shouldn't have told the stories because I'm not living them down just yet, and I'm sure I'll be reminded about them for a very long time. So thank you very much for keeping things going strong.
You can count on me for that.
Talking about big shoes to fill, sitting on this chair after Rexon's been here is always a tough one. I always love seeing him in front of the camera and listening to the stories that he has to say. It's just a wealth of knowledge to have on our team, and to just to hear the stories and to get his input while we're out there on safari, and even just when we're sitting around the fire. It's always great, and it's really great to have him behind the camera as well. When I'm out this morning, had a really good experience. Picked up on the tracks of what appeared to be one of the Mapocho males, and Rexon, just as I was turning the vehicle around, he spotted the tracks heading off in a direction which I would not have seen. I don't need to try and boost my ego and say I would have seen them. I definitely didn't, and Rexon spotted them just out the corner of his eye. So it's really good having Rexon out on the team, and especially when you're out on safari, and just the knowledge and the local knowledge out here.
Well, I've arrested the other gentleman here to let me know what it's about, you know, what their favourite aspects are. And I'm going to ask Marco, obviously the same. I mean, I've been getting to know the others, but I want to know from you as well, what initiated this interest, what got you here, and what do you enjoy the most?
Well, I enjoy everything about it, really. You know, it's hard not to enjoy everything. I mean, just sitting around the fire now is fantastic. Well, I also grew up in the city, but I was fortunate enough to have parents that loved the outdoors and used to go out into the outdoors quite often every year. Especially my father, we used to go out on trips quite often, and very, very fortunate, although this might sound a bit negative, but very fortunate to have a brother and sister that weren't particularly passionate, although they did enjoy the outdoors, but not as passionate as I was. So I was always the lucky one that ended up going along. And being the youngest kid in the group, and always going with him and his friends, they always took it upon themselves to teach me as much as possible, whether it be tracking or about the plants or about the animals. So from a very young age I was introduced to the bush, and I fell in love with it. Grew up with it all my life, going there as often as I possibly could. And as soon as I left school, I kind of followed the desire to get back into the bush and actually live in the bush, and guiding was an interesting way. I started off in backpackers around the country, and taking people on tours to the nature reserves, doing walking tours, and eventually my knowledge base increased, and just carried on teaching myself, teaching, and ended up in a very, very well-known private game reserve down in the south of the Sabi Sands, and picked up a camera, picked up a video player, and just fell in love with that as well. And a couple of years later, here I am with the WildEarth team. So that's how I got here. Angie?
How did I get you?
I heard another question a little bit that you were saying while I was sitting in the director's lounge.
Yes.
About the favourite animals. Yours was lion, right? You're
crazy about
keen
lion.
to find them Mapochos.
I'm dying to see them.
And Rexon always out on the hunt for leopard, and we all know very much that Pt.3 is very keen on his elephants. Well, I don't even have a big five favourite, to be honest. I think they're fantastic. The big five are great, but if there's a favourite for me, there's no question about it. It's dwarf mongoose. I find them fascinating. The social behaviour, the interaction, the inquisitive character about them, how they bask out in the sun. This morning, actually being a Sunday morning, we saw some basking out in the sun. It's just always interesting animals, and if you're very cautious in the way you approach them, and I've done this many times, just go and sit down next to the termite mound that they're busy that they're inhabiting at the time, and after a few moments, once they realise you're not a threat, they'll actually start coming out and being quite inquisitive, and you can get quite close to them. So yeah, dwarf mongoose, bizarre, but why not?
Definitely a different taste, I must say. It's a nice surprise actually. People usually again overlook the smaller guys, and there's so many little creatures out there like genets and civet and mongoose. So it's good to hear you've got something. I wouldn't have expected that actually.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I would have thought something quite strong and sturdy, Italian-like.
Yeah, Italians.
I'm constantly, teasing about Italian, but nice to hear more about you. Seriously, we're always busy working, but it's great to learn a bit more, Marco.
Well, that's why these chats are always interesting. We get to sit around and just chat. Sometimes after a day's work, the team gets quite tired. It's a beautiful life, and I don't think any of us would change it for anything.
Definitely not. No.
But it would be hard to say it's a job. It's more of a lifestyle that everyone just really appreciates and loves out here. And I think anyone who works and lives in the bush will be able to back me up on that, and including here at WildEarth. So it's the days are long. It's not, you don't just work your 8-hour shift and go home and do your own thing. From the minute you wake up in the morning to the minute you go to bed, you're surrounded by your colleagues and your friends, should I say, and the environment where you work or live. So it can be quite tiring sometimes, but it's a rewarding feeling. So it's nice just to sit around now and have a chat and get to know a little bit more about everybody.
Alright, well folks, I believe we're actually running out of time. If I'm understanding the signals correctly, please understand, bear with me. I'm getting used to the camera and getting used to the whole setting. But thank you so much for joining us at Chat Around the Fireside. And obviously tomorrow morning, join us for Game Drive. We'll see what the guys can deliver. Marco?
Yeah, thanks very much for joining us. It's always great to have you on board and sitting around the fire with us. I hope you, wherever you are in the world, whatever it is that you're doing, I hope you're enjoying the time out here with us. And it's been another beautiful day, another beautiful week. I'm sure those that have joined us in the behind the scenes and the highlights packages have been cracking away at the videos. We look forward to seeing those. And it's just been great having everyone here. But we'll see you nice and early at 6:30 Central African time tomorrow morning. And it's another day in Africa.